You might have learned that the basic word order in Chinese is SVO, subject, verb, and then object. So to say, I wiped the table, in Chinese it's 我擦了桌子. I wiped table. It's the same order as in English. However, in daily life, you will also hear people say 我桌子擦了 I table wiped, or 桌子我擦了 table I wiped, or even 桌子擦了 table wiped. All of them are correct in Chinese. The word order and grammar in Chinese just seem so random and flexible that you might think that maybe grammar is just not important in Chinese. Of course, this is not true. So today we're going to figure out the purpose behind this randomness in Chinese grammar. By the way, I've prepared a practical handout with exercises to help you better understand and review what you will learn today. You can get it by joining my Patreon for free. If you'd like to access exclusive podcasts as a daily learning resource, feel free to explore the membership options on my Patreon. To truly understand Chinese word order, we need to start thinking in a Chinese way. One important thing to know about forming sentences in Chinese is that we often introduce a topic or context first before providing new information. Let's see some examples. If I knew you went to a shop yesterday and I wanted to know what you bought, so I ask you, 你昨天买了什么？你昨天买了什么？What did you buy yesterday? And then you could reply, 我买了书。我买了书。I bought a book. Our conversation is surrounding what you did, so it's very natural for you to start the sentence with 我. I, because this is the topic of our conversation, and 买了书, bought a book, is the new information you want me to know. Now let's see another situation. If there was a book on the table and now it's gone, I want to know where it is, so I ask you, 桌上的书呢？桌上的书呢？ Where is the book that was on the table? In this case, because 书 is the topic of our conversation, you can mention it first and then provide me with some new information. 书我刚刚拿走了。书我刚刚拿走了。The book, I just took it away. And now here is another scenario. If I wanted you to buy a book for me, I might ask you, 你帮我买书了吗？你帮我买书了吗？ Did you buy the book for me? Now let's say you didn't buy the book, but you bought a few pens instead. In this case, you are the focus of the conversation because I want to know if you bought the book for me. At the same time, the book is also part of what we're discussing, so you can bring it up in the initial part of the sentence and say, 我书没买，但买了几支笔。我书没买，但买了几支笔。I, the book, didn't buy, but bought a few pens, which expresses that I didn't buy the book, but I bought a few pens. So here, 我, I, and 书, the book, help establish the context for the new information that follows. Here, if we analyze this sentence, it's actually in the SOV word order. And that's why people think Chinese grammar is so random because it's so flexible. However, as we've seen, there's a reason behind using a different word order. It's because we tend to introduce a topic or context first before providing new information. Here, one thing to keep in mind is that personal pronouns, people's names, and other people-related nouns aren't often used in the SOV word order as the object. For example, 我他没说过话 I him never spoken. This doesn't sound very natural unless you use some other kind of construction, like 我跟他没说过话. I've never spoken to him. Now let's come back and look at the examples we saw earlier. 我买了书. I bought a book. 书我刚刚拿走了. The book I just took away. 我书没买. I didn't buy the book. Here, all these examples have different word orders, but one thing they have in common is the words or phrases placed at the beginning of the sentence are used to introduce the conversation topic or set up the context for what's about to be said next. Therefore, we can see that the Chinese word order is not actually random. Now you know in Chinese, we like to introduce a topic or context first before providing new information. For the topic or context that appears at the beginning of a sentence, it doesn't have to be just a noun, it can also be a noun phrase or even a verb phrase. Let's take a look at some examples. 上次的活动，你们玩得开心吗？上次的活动，你们玩得开心吗？ The last event, did you guys have fun? Which means, did you guys have fun at the last event? 吃饭，他喜欢在家吃。吃饭，他喜欢在家吃。Having meals, he likes to eat at home. Meaning, he likes eating at home. 在台北住。我觉得除了常常下雨之外，都还不错。在台北住，我觉得除了常常下雨之外，都还不错。Living in Taipei, I think other than raining a lot, it's quite nice. Which expresses living in Taipei is pretty good, except it rains a lot. So in Chinese, we like to introduce a topic or context first before providing new information. However, if the context is already clear, there is no need to explicitly state the topic. Even the subject and object are often omitted when the context is clear. For example, if someone asks you, 你喜欢草莓吗？你喜欢草莓吗？ Do you like strawberries? You don't have to say 草莓我喜欢 Strawberries I like. You can omit the 我 I and 草莓 strawberries and simply say 喜欢 to like to express you like it. Because the topic 草莓 strawberry and the subject 我 I are already clear from the context. There's no need to repeat them. Unless you have more to add or want to highlight a contrast. In that case, it's clear to point them out again. Like this. 草莓我喜欢，但是我不喜欢蓝莓。草莓我喜欢，但是我不喜欢蓝莓。Strawberries I like, but I don't like blueberries. Which means I like strawberries, but I don't like blueberries. So here are two key points for understanding how Chinese sentences are formed. First, we like to introduce a topic or context first before providing new information. Second, when the context is clear as to what you're referring to, some words can be dropped. Now let's revisit the sentences from the start of this video and talk about why their word orders differ. To express I wiped the table in Chinese, these following sentences are all correct. 我擦了桌子 I wiped table. 我桌子擦了 I table wiped. 桌子我擦了 table I wiped. 桌子擦了 table wiped. Although they are all correct, they are actually used in different contexts. For the first one, 我擦了桌子 I wiped table. 我 is mentioned first, So the context is probably discussing what you have done, and then what is done? 擦了桌子 wiped the table is the new information for the listener to know. For this sentence, 我桌子擦了 I table wiped. It could be used in a context where the listener expects you to wipe a specific table. In this situation, you're explaining what you have done, so 我 I comes first, and 桌子 table follows as it's also a topic in the conversation. 我桌子擦了 I table wiped. Next, 桌子我擦了 table I wiped. This sentence can be used in a context like after a party where you and a friend are cleaning. If your friend is about to wipe a table you have already cleaned, you can say to them, 桌子我擦了 桌子我擦了 Here, 桌子, the table, is the topic being discussed, so it comes at the beginning of the sentence. While 我擦了 I wiped follows to provide new information about it. The final one, 桌子擦了 table wiped, shows how in Chinese some words can be omitted when the context is clear. This sentence can work in a similar context to the previous sentence, 桌子我擦了. But when 我 is already obvious from the context, you can simply say 桌子擦了桌子擦了桌子擦了可是我看还是很脏Alright, now you understand why different word orders are used in Chinese. Remember, understanding the concept is a crucial first step. To truly use them naturally in your Chinese, you will need more exposure to the language to develop a stronger sense of it. By the way, if you'd like to get a better grasp of today's concepts with key takeaways listed out and do some practice exercises to apply what you've learned, don't forget to download the free handout on my Patreon. And if you're looking to understand natural spoken Chinese and learn real-life vocabulary, phrases, and patterns, the resources on my Patreon might be just what you need. By getting a membership, you will not only get exclusive learning materials, but also support me in creating more content. I hope to see you there. If you'd like to learn some daily Mandarin expressions, check out my Instagram, Grace Mandarin. 那我们下次见咯，拜拜。